then it's it's a derogatory remark. But South Africa is the only place where we are still, and I stand corrected if there are other areas that still use the term, but in other places it's a derogatory term. If we go across the sea, I'll be black.
Yeah.
And
Your fitting is perfect.
You see, I'll be classified as black, and I'll probably be like, yeah, I got there, I finally did it. These are some things that I talk about in the book. Was the first poem that helped birth the book and the identity that I was putting out there, because we have to put out, when you start as an artist, you have to, as you said, put yourself out there. You gotta get out there. So the you're putting yourself out there is the challenging part. Because many people can write beautiful poems, but not everybody wants to write poems about themselves and your personal experiences. So I wrote a poem called The Colored Girl's Tale.
A very good morning. Sanibonani, siyanibingelela. Siphinde sanamukele futhi kwenye i-episode yethu ye-Your Word Podcast. Kuhlezi kuyintokozo, kuhlezi kuyinjabulo ukuba phambi kwenu. Sithembe nani niyakujabulela ukuthi sibe khona phambi kwenu. Siphinde futhi sidlulisa ukubonga ngesupport esiyibonayo. Siyabona inamba ziyakhula. Inamba akaziwaqamba manga. Igama uLindani ke uDlamini eshowe Bonafide. Angihambi ngedwa. Ngihamba nala inkosazana izozithula.
Sanibonani, igama lami kusawuyena kuphoti ngithembu kaMadela ulingo Dundaba ugqiganzamela umnyiko. Kade ngangigcina kakhulu kade ngangigcina. Siyabonga kakhulu ngempela ngoba seshilo for the support and the love. Siyabona kakhulu. Guys, sicela engage too, please engage.
Yes, khuthaza.
Okay, today we're not having any tea on the house. We have a beautiful lady, a beautiful artist, which is called Uzosishoyini.
Kimberly. I go by the name of Kimberly KMA as a stage name. I am a wife, mother, and poet, published author, as well as a few other titles that get added on as time goes by. But it is basically a poetry journey that we are on.
Yeah, thank you for blessing us. Thank you for embracing our studio with your presence. It's a pleasure. We feel very honored. Given to the fact that I've have an opportunity to go through some of your work. It's very inspiring and very interesting. We are so much inspired by the piece of work that we've seen. So without further ado, we would love to give you an opportunity just to profile yourself as to who you are in terms of art, who you are in terms of being a person, in terms of you being a person, and any other thing that you would love for our followers, for our fans to know, and also your fans as well.
Well, I was born in Durban, but raised in Esho from like a toddler, a country called here. My family is originally from here, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. My mother and her siblings were born in and around Esho. Not too sure of the exact locations, but my family is originally from here. Our roots come from here. So when I was a toddler, my mom had moved with my brother and myself here. My brother's older, much older. He's about 12 years older than me. So it was almost like I was an only sibling because he was too big. But he tried his best, to make up for those years by being playful. Growing up in this beautiful small town will have anybody that leave feel more humble, because when you leave Esho, you understand that it's not, the world is bigger than Esho.
Much more bigger.
You understand the concept that the world is bigger. So I went to Little Flower Primary School. That time Sister Toma was there. It was rough, but it was good. I think Mr. Van der Sand was the principal at that time. And just normal, years growing up. My mom coming from a single parent household that was also had its own challenges. You have a lot of questions, and then also it's like especially in the Kalb community, it's like a stereotypical thing. Single parent household, and that's just you're not too sure where you're going to end up at the end.
Stands out.
Exactly. So I did go to Sunnydale High School. I finished my matric year. Even that was challenging because there were some friends that had started failing, and I'm leaving them behind. So
Yeah.
And the friendship is breaking.
Exactly,
eventually.
it was rough because you have this plan when you start in grade 8 and you say, okay guys, now I'm going all the way.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing this and this one is going to be my partner and that one will be my partner. And then when it comes to grade 10, you look back and say, Manje, where's then you move to the next stage and you get to grade 10 because grade 10 is like more difficult, and then you get grade 11 and you're like, guys, you're dropping your hands, I'm not myself. And then you get pressurized, you're also like, I'm also dropping, it's hard. But it's not that difficult in all honesty.
Yeah.
And you only figure these lessons out when you finish school. You get to see, pure maths wasn't that difficult.
You just needed practice.
You just needed practice, and during that time, Miss Jack was one of my favorite teachers. I think she's at Ishawi High now, but she made pure maths fun for us. She really brought the vibe.
I remember Miss Jack.
Yeah, she brought the vibe to Sunnydale High when it came to that. She was just out there, exciting. But yeah, those were some of the good years. There were some arts groups that were formed, I know, in Sunnydale High, but for the life of me, I was more interested in the popularity of high school than focusing on the arts. So I played chess undercover.
Chess undercover.
I would go for, Miss Jack's class, they would play chess during break time.
Oh, yeah.
So I would go and play chess undercover. I think Cheeseman and a few others that were those heads of those projects. And I played a little bit and they're like, you have potential. And then I saw some of my friends are noticing break time when you're doing this.
Yeah.
So they didn't know I'm hiding to go and do something else. They thought, no, maybe she has a boyfriend and she wants us to see. I was going to go play chess. And so once or twice I got caught. I said, I'm never going back here again, especially when they were like, we're going to choose you for a competition. I said, no, thank you, Miss Jack. I'm fine.
Gotten tougher.
Yeah, because I was like, they're not going to bring that side out. Imagine, what will my friends say? So being intelligent was not popular during that time, especially the friends group that I was in, and especially also in our community. It was not a popular thing. Being that kid that stood out. Already I was different because I would, and I think I mentioned this as a young child to my aunt and my uncle at some point, where I was like, I can see these words, like they're getting words and I want to put them together. And I just didn't know, even as a kid, I'd be running outside and I'm talking like I've got my own radio station. And I'm like, welcome to Kimberley Station. Yeah, my daughters were doing that. They laughed. But those were the things I would do on my own. But around friends and other kids, I felt like I always had to shrink. Because it's like, Kimberley has this big dream.
A visionary.
And she's dreaming these big things, but my friends are just thinking about like going to go play down the road. Now I'm thinking of other things.
Yeah, it's very difficult being different.
It is.
They alienate you, outcast you, not knowing that this is who you are.
Exactly.
It kind of become even difficult on you as a person. Because it takes you time to understand that this is what I was destined for. This is what I should actually give more of my time to. Because writing art as a whole needs time. You can't be living life or leading life just like any other individual. You need your own different and secluded thinking space. You need to see the world from the bird's eye view. So not all of us would understand. It will come. You will come across as someone who's trying to be. I don't know what's the right word. was trying to be superior than the rest of the group, you know.
They say you're lonely or
Yeah.
you're isolating. Up to now, I still have some friends that think I isolate on purpose. But as you say, it's the creative mind. Now I understand it more because I've learned how to understand it and protect it. Because there are people that want to control the creative mind. I have girls, and a son. My two older daughters now I've decided to homeschool. And with that, I've seen my older daughter that used to draw as a small hobby here and there, never to really take it serious, to now somebody that's really sketching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Now she's attentive to details, and other aspects.
Exactly. So she's left to, we are allowing her to have that freedom of being the artist and tapping into that artistry, in that creative mindset. Whereas during my time, there was not
There were no
space for us.
there was no support at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I'm sure as a filmmaker, and that creative mindset, you're thinking of everything as a movie.
Exactly.
Everything can be made into a documentary. Everybody has a story and you want to tell it.
Yeah.
But now, when you tell somebody,
You need to think about the economy when you're speaking to people.
exactly. And if you tell someone that's not a creative or does not have, everybody can be a creative, but I think we just suppress that. But if you're talking to somebody that just wants to waste away like a cabbage and has no vision, there's no nice way to say it. They don't want to have a vision because everybody has the potential. It's just that we want to waste away like a vegetable or fruit somewhere in a dark corner.
It's also just a matter of being discovered, not being discovered per se, but needing someone who will just snap you out of that nutshell.
Yeah.
Comfort zone.
Yeah, your comfort zone, and make you understand who you really are, what you're capable of.
You mentioned that you're an author, and we are seeing beautiful work here. This is her work. Do I look African enough? Both are your books, Nick. And we understand that there may be challenges, there may be lessons, there may be accomplishments or achievements that you've had. Can we please start with the challenges?
The challenges is the content that goes into the book, firstly, because especially within the poetry world, in different areas, there are different gatekeepers. And there are different people that are there just standing guard to make sure who gets in, who doesn't get in, and so on and so forth. And then there are people like myself that say some things that not everybody's saying. Because my book talks about my journey of growing up in Esho. It talks about the greenage. It talks about the grapefruits from Kwalini. It talks about, getting chased by like a dog. It talks about abuse. It talks about molestation. It talks about gender-based violence, that also my grandmother had to face. It talks about the drunk man walking on the road, because we know there are plenty of those that have a story to tell.
That's how it is.
Exactly. So the book talks about all those things, and then it also tackles the past, the present, and then touches a bit on the future. But in the past, it's talking about our history as South Africans. I can't talk about the whole continent, but I can just talk about our painful history. I mean, I am seen as a product of like a crime, mixed race people, colored people. The international term, if you say colored people, then it's, it's a derogatory remark. But South Africa is the only place where we are still, and I stand corrected if there are other areas that still use the term, but in other places it's a derogatory term. If we go across the sea, I'll be black.
Yeah.
And
your 3 inches perfect.
You see, I'll be classified as black, and I'll probably be like, I got there, I finally did it. These are some things that I talk about in the book. Was the first poem that helped birth the book and the identity that I was putting out there, because we have to put out, when you start as an artist, you have to, as you said, put yourself out there. You got to get out there. So the putting out you're putting yourself out there is the challenging part. Because many people can write beautiful poems, but not everybody wants to write poems about themselves and your personal experiences. So I wrote a poem called The Colored Girl's Tale, which was my story about growing up in Esho and running around with no shoes on the street and being questioned, of what are you, and your hair looks like this, and and also the
What
fact that
are
I
you,
don't
not
speak
who are you?
Afrikaans. Exactly, the fact that me and Afrikaans were not there. Mr. Tule was a good teacher, but it was me. I was the problem.
It was just not wired in your
No, it
DNA.
was not. It was not. It was not Afrikaans at all. But moving to Johannesburg, people would come up to me speaking in Afrikaans because they said, "You look like you can." I was like, what does that mean?
Whereas you just have no clue.
No, I would be lost. The one guy, thank God for my in-laws, they are Afrikaans speaking, but they speak in English and they make a joke of the fact that I'm the English speaking one. But there was a time where there was this guy at my workspace. He came up to me speaking in Afrikaans. I spoke in English, and I went as far as I could understand. And when I started to get,
Kuningi.
I thought
You got dizzy by a minute.
I was
God kuningi.
even English left the chat.
Jesus.
English left the chat. Now, in the society that we live in South Africa, outside of Esho, colored people are supposed to speak Afrikaans.
Like in Cape Town.
Yeah. So there was some that were assuming, they were like, you look like. I was like, so what does a Cape colored look like? I'm like, no, I'm from Esho. Where is that? I'm like, they were like, oh no, near Cape Town. I said, no, that is near.
It's in
I'm like,
KZN.
Then they say Durban.
North of
I'm like,
Devon.
no, near Mpangen. At least if I said that, I'd be like, no, bring it closer. And, some of them would still be like, I'm like, yeah, I come from a small farming town. That's when I started even putting it in my bio that I come from a small farming town, and I wrote that. It's even in my book as well at the back with my credits, where it's mentioned that I come from a small farming town called Esho, and my book is based off of my experiences of the things that I had grown up facing, and that is the best and the most powerful kind of writing, is writing about yourself, writing about your own experiences and other people's stories, because poets are storytellers as well, even though some are afraid to tell some stories. So I had to tell the story of my present. I'm not black and neither am I white, but I'm somewhere on the inside in between, and I'm not Khoi. Maybe there's some down the line, but it's not all there because we have more. The Zulu tribe, I can show you where they are. We can probably even tell you where the land is.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you where the Khoisan blood is. Maybe I can say my grandfather was Moses. They can say, yeah, Moses from the Cape. That surname can be tracked down, but I can tell you more about my genealogy here. Yeah. Even my father's I learned that's Xhosa. And I was like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah, you guys, that famous is from. I was like, okay, I'm done. And then a friend was like, that makes sense. No wonder you like that. So those things grafted more into my writing. And I started to learn more about myself, and I started to write more. And when I wrote A Colored Girl's Tale, I even spoke about the history of how there were colored children that were killed as babies during the time of war. And I think it was my mom or my aunt had told me the story of when they were younger, they had to hide under their grandmother's corset. She was a really big lady, and they used to hide under her corset, and she was black. And they used to have to hide under her corset because the soldiers were coming, and the story was that they were killing children that were like her. Exactly. Now, in my family, my mom is the fairest, and then my late aunt also very fair, and then my uncle and my aunt, they more your shape. And but my mom is very fair. She's like my complexion with light hazel brown eyes. So we would have been finished. So those are the things that I write about, because I paraphrase and I say, many were killed for looking like me, which is a painful part of history that we don't always want to tell. We all faced challenges on this beautiful land that we live on. but it's always like a one-sided, everyone's trying to get, oh, my story is greater, my story is greater. There's nobody's story that's greater. We all face pain.
Yeah.
All our ancestors face pain for us being here.
Every now and then, to be honest, it never ends.
Yep.
Yeah, we just grow up to have this. I don't know. How do I put this? You become immune to it.
Yeah.
Become used to it.
And that's the dangerous part.
Yeah.
Because then that's when we don't talk. That's when we just let things happen to us and then we don't speak up. And for me, that was why I wrote the book.
Yeah, so as I'm following you, I'm giving details with regards to the book. You said the past, the present, the good, the bad. We could also put it that way.
Yeah, and what I would like Africa to look like one day.
You've got bigger dreams. All right, thank you so much for sharing. You just happen to be ahead of even questions that
That's
that
what I'm supposed to be
ask or
asking.
we are supposed to be asking. Yeah.
So,
No.
No problem.
That's what it's all about. That's what it all about. More details. So what does the future look like in 3 to 5 years? Any plans? Even plans outside?
Because I heard that you are still working on other books. So
yeah,
you're going to have a shelf full of books.
I've got two unfinished. One I started working on before this one. This one was basically 30 poems for celebrating my 30 years of life. I was like, I saw 30 years. Other people have that sad, I reached 30
That's
moments
an idea.
and depressed. I found a gray hair because I hit 30. I was excited. So it was the 30 poems for this book. The other one was more of a story, telling the story of my grandmother and a few others. But the most recent one that I'm focusing more energy on, because the other one I would like it to be a novel. So that's why I'm taking my time with it. And as life progresses, I want to continue to just put pieces and pieces and pieces in there slowly. As for the other one, it's more faith-based, talking about now my relationship with being in Christ and poems, almost like the Psalms of David. I won't say the Psalms of David, but along that line because they are encouraging. They made me feel encouraged. It's poems on healing. It's poems on the process of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because writing helped me forgive. Writing helped me through anxiety. Writing helped me through depression. Having to write helped me fight a lot of things that I was struggling with secretly and quietly. And if I did not write, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. So in that book, I basically give homage and thanks to the Lord for it because I was like, okay, thank you for the gift. So I'm going to use the gift now in the next poem and the next poem to come for your glory. And I'm going to do it because the first one was like, okay, it's really, I even say it's selfish, poetry selfish, which I was so wrong on saying. I felt very guilty when I came to Christ with it, but this book was selfish because it was just me, my experience, which was good, but it was needed.
Yeah.
But I did thank the Lord. Like, I was a small, thank you, Lord. But the
In
next
fact,
book was
you
just
took a giant leap, putting your personal experiences and personal gains, personal losses on the open. It takes courage, and I think it is a good place to start speaking and talking about and writing about something, because nobody knows you better than you yourself. Yeah.
It was challenging, as you said, it was.
So also these 2 projects we spoke of going to be published abroad. Or you still working on?
I want to self-publish this next round.
All right.
Just so I can see also and also we have so many platforms now, like with Amazon and a few others, where they do allow self-publishing and that flexibility of being your own
And also get to test waters as to
Yes.
how grown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would love to, because I'd love to see and track the process of it, because I am grateful and thankful to Marissa Prada, who helped publish this book, and her publishing house of Red Green Books in the US, which is awesome. I was offered as well other opportunities internationally, but I turned them down because of my own personal reasons.
Some of the reasons you mentioned earlier when you were profiling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's understandable.
And with the proofreading of the manuscripts, that's challenging as a creative, and I'm sure you can
Yeah,
also understand that when you're giving somebody else your manuscript to read over, yes, we are open to some changes here and there, but when you want to change the whole context of a sentence, if
That's-
I meant to put something,
Or maybe a paragraph.
Yeah.
exactly, if I said that, or it instead of alright, I meant it that way. I wanted to put that slang word there, or that,
For a particular
vernacular
reason.
word there,
Yeah.
because I wrote the one line says, "Nikume showe," and I'm not your typical colored chick. So I meant to put it there, and they're like, Kimberly, you're doing your edits, and I'm like, Jesus.
No, it carries a lot of weight.
Exactly. I talked about
It's
like
also-
queen, and they're like, what is that? So at the bottom, and when people get it, they'll see at the bottom of each poem where I use a word, a Zulu word, you'll see the meaning of it.
It also challenges your readers and your followers and whoever is interested in your work to do more research. There should be some stuff that when you're reading something and it feels like you've read it before. When you're reading something, there should be some parts where you pause, think, reread, and reread again to understand. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's a pity that now the schools are opening on Monday. You're gonna
they're
be busy. But
Until December.
yeah, it feels like this was only just you profiling yourself. I feel like there's a lot that you owe to this platform.
If you invite us back, we'll come back again.
No
Then we'll talk about also my uncle as well. Is also a writer. Get it.
Which means already we are extending our invitation, Malum.
I know he's got a lot of content as well written down. It made me feel better to know there's other creators in our family. So I was like, I'm not the only one. I'm not weird by myself.
Yeah, there's a part that we skipped or that we missed by mistake.
It's because no, it wasn't by mistake. And already she had mentioned that she's an author.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, but then there was this part where she said she was gonna recite something.
no, she's gonna recite when we're closing.
When we're closing, okay,
Yeah,
let's
she's gonna
let's
close for
allow.
us. We're not gonna close today.
Yeah.
She's the one who's gonna
Let's just give
close
her
for
the
us.
liberty. Let's just give her the reins.
All right. Before she closes for us, what message do you have for the community of authors, the community of artists? Basically, I'm not going to talk about everyone at this moment because I believe there are people who are sitting on their talents. You understand?
Plenty of them.
Yeah, there are people who can write, but they are afraid to write. I, for myself, I'm just lazy to. I'm just lazy to write, but I know that I'm a very good writer.
An element of fear.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. That
So, what could be your message, especially the youth, even the older people? Because I heard you saying there's a poet who's 70 years of age.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I felt during this journey, I felt like a small fish in a big ocean. Because our mindsets are so stuck. As I said, growing up in Esho, I only thought Esho. And then I marry someone from out of here that wants to see the world. And I'm like, hey, this guy is taking me out.
Taking
I'm
places.
comfortable. I'm like, I'm good here. Everyone I know is here. The life I built is here. Now you want to take me out? I have visions of my children. And then he's like, no, let's go. And I'm like, okay, go. And then, as I said, that's why I face so much. Literally now I'm getting anxiety attacks because I'm in this big place I don't know. But at the same time, that is when I started writing more. And what I would say is move. Get into a space that's going to challenge you.
It's like what you said when you mentioned that you're writing a novel.
Yeah.
You said that you're still waiting for other experiences. So the more you grow, the more the more you grow, the more you
Yep, the more I add on to the.
yeah, the more you get content
Exactly.
to add onto a book. The
Exactly.
more you go outside of your boundaries, or self stipulated boundaries, the more you get to see some other things
Yes.
that you can write
So
about and experiences.
exactly. So the best advice I would give to creatives, and I want to say creatives because it covers so many of us.
Yeah.
Within, I have learned even for myself that even though yes, poetry has been just like I've held on to it, and I can't say I've mastered it, but I've held on to the direction I want to go, and I'm like, okay, this is who I am, and this is what I want to be known as, and this is my boundaries of where I'll go, and let's build on that. But I had to come out of my comfort zone for so many things. I had to learn how to perform on a stage. I had to learn how to be more friendly with some people. I thought I was friendly, but I was like, I'm scared to talk to people. And that is the thing about growing and becoming the artist. The artist has to be out there, talking to people, engaging with people, or sometimes just observing. Because as you spoke about writer's block, myself, I write almost every day, but I'm not always writing poetry. Sometimes I'm writing little notes. Sometimes I'm also writing little quotes to myself to encourage myself. That is a form of writing. Some will say, oh no, that's not you cutting. But I know why I'm doing that. I'm also continuing to download information.
Yeah, it's also coming from the creative space.
Exactly. Now for me, I retain information, and then when I get into that space of writing, because also I'm a mom now of 3, no longer just mom of 2. When I was mom of 2 and my girls being a bit older, I had the time where I could just go put myself in the car and I'm writing and no one's disturbing me. But now I have a son that's all over me and he's only 1. He doesn't understand that.
He is still a new blessing.
Exactly. So I've got to download the information, and then when he's asleep, I got to find time to go write it down now. And I'm the type of person, others might go and want to proofread and change this and add that. I don't want to do that all the time. Some
Right.
pieces,
Let your mind speak.
exactly, some pieces I have gone back to edit and make some changes, add some things, take out that, put that in. But some poems, I've left it in the rawness of what it is.
Yeah.
And I know there's some people that highly want to criticize and be like, no, you must go back and you have to add this and add these words that are really
Change something that represents who you are, that
Exactly.
makes you stand out and makes you
exactly.
unique.
So the best advice I would state is experience life. Go out and just observe. There'd be times when I'd even just go out and stand. There's a poem where I spoke about the streets of Jersey coming to life. I just stood. I was waiting for somebody for work. And this lady, as I'm standing there, I'm watching the whole streets come to life. I'm watching and people watching. I'm observing. I'm downloading the smells, the sound. Looking at the guy coming out feeding doves and how they all gathered outside. And this boy is shouting, "Bye, mama!" And the mom is not hearing because she's talking there to her make. They having, the whole big conversation.
Creating an ambience.
Exactly. So I was just downloading. So that's what I would say. Go out there and see, experience things. A poem is not just written off of your love story. You need to go beyond that. Okay, we fell in love, we broke up. Let's go beyond that. It's not just rosary, violence or blue. Let's talk about the
It's not
economy.
going to be always hunky
Exactly.
dory.
Let's talk politics. Let's talk about the uncomfortable things. And those are the things we talk about in the book. We talk politics, we talk apartheid, we talk about the long-lasting effects. We talk about what the future could look like. I even wrote about the uprising, that we had faced a few years ago. And being in Johannesburg, it so happened that I was placed in the correct space because we could hear the chants, we could see the smoke, we could hear everything that's going on, but I wasn't close enough to be there. But from where we were staying, we could hear everything that's going on in Josie Central. So all those experiences didn't scare me. I want to run to the danger now because I want to write. It's good content. And COVID was for me, as some were seeing it as like the death of artists, COVID was like the life for me. Because that's when I was like, oh, I'm taking to social media. If I stay in this house and I don't write, I will kill my husband and everybody else. So I need to write. I need an outlet. And that's what it has to be. When you have these thoughts, these creative thoughts, you have to release them. Release them on paper.
Yeah.
Release them on every piece of paper, every notepad you have, every laptop that you can get your hands on that's yours. Just release all those things, those little stories. Just start small.
Keep writing.
Keep writing.
Keep writing. Keep sharing your
And
thoughts.
experience life.
KMA. Yeah, KMA. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence and your beauty.
Thank you for that invite.
And your beauty.
If it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have been even be able to navigate it. And we're also looking forward to having Umalume in one of our next episodes. And I also feel like you still have quite a lot to share. Very much so.
Can you please close for us? You're not going to say anything. Just please close for us. They know our handles. They know everything about us now, right?
Gosh.
You only want hey.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay, I'll share two.
All right, no problem.
Every poem has a story, so I'll probably tell you a short story and then continue.
Right.
Right. When I wrote this book and the title, as well as Do I Look African Enough? During COVID, when we were performing on Zoom stages and social media, that's how I found my publishers and the community that I'm a part of. And also we birthed another organization, #IamPoetryAfrica. And I was asked a lot of questions, when some people will be like, hey, good morning, how's everybody? And I'm like, oh, good evening. Or when they're saying good evening, I'm saying good morning because we're on different sides of the world on Zoom.
Different time zones.
Exactly. And some would be like, where are you from, London? And I'm like, no, I'm in Johannesburg, but I'm from Esho. I'd always say, I'm from Esho.
Roots all the way.
So they would always be like, oh, really? Africa. And because I want to be sarcastic, the other side wants to say, I, the one next door. But at the same time, like, yes, Africa, so that would open up the conversation.
Yeah.
But you don't look
African.
exactly. So that's where the title came from. Do I look African enough? Because that was, as I mentioned before we even started, we were talking about some of those challenges of being a colored or mixed race person.
Yeah.
On an international platform, I have to refer to myself as colored when I'm just talking, but then after some time I got to say mixed race because they also see it as a derogatory remark.
Yeah.
So that's where Do I Look African Enough comes from. And with that, I wrote this poem that was entitled What Makes Me African. It surely can't be my hair. With its spiral curls that fall naturally to my cheeks, my mother cringes at the sight of my once tamed, now untamed hair, urging me about the straightener she has in her top drawer at her bedside cupboard. See, the more I say I'm fine, the more I see her eyes drawn to my hair than my face during our conversation, and my mind begins to wander off to the days my ancestors had to use hot curling rods and burnt their scalps with chemicals just to look appealing in the boss's eyes, while hate brewed in the madam's heart. Maybe, just maybe, she foresaw my coming, a child neither dark nor pale, but what makes me African? Is it the way I say Sawubona without the English accent, staying true to my forefathers' tongue, then twisting it back to Awe, what kind, to put into the streets of Wentworth or a somewhat colored community, then upgrading to the tone needed to prove my level of intelligence in the workplace? Good day, sir. How may I be of assistance today? And while I flip through these three tongues, a fourth one awaits me at home. It brings humor to my family with the way I say Rabbi instead of Rabbi, bridge instead of bridge, or fridge instead of fridge. But what makes me African? Is it my street smart mentality, or the way I eat pap and nyama, the shisa nyama? Is my big body not a reminder of Sarah Bartman, visible enough to have you convinced? Perhaps it's my name. Kimberly. Not spelled quite like the place to think of it, my father almost named me Brooke. So, or is it my family's legacy of poverty that makes me African enough? Not the malnourished, crusty face smeared across your screens like feces version. I'm not the face you felt compelled to donate to out of pity. I'm the face of this rainbow nation when two worlds collided. I am African enough. And that is
So in conclusion, you are basically making an emphasis that you're African enough.
Wow.
that
So the
is
story began with umama from straight machine or as I so you can relate to me.
You see what I'm saying? Like each poem, I made sure to tell my story, and each poem creates conversation. And that is something that every writer needs to aspire to have. You need people to walk away saying, "Hey, that girl was talking like, hey, I can relate to that," because this is not just a colored girl story, but this is a black girl story too.
Yeah.
Because now we're in a society where natural is in. So now it's like, hey guys, we don't have to relax or straighten. We don't have to burn ourselves. I'll finish with one last.
All right.
A colored girl's tale. This was my, they say people have a coming out party when they become of age and all that jazz. This was like a coming out poem because this was the one that fueled the journey of like, okay, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about what it's like to be colored because I haven't found many poets that are talking about this, especially from KZN, that are talking about what it's like to be a farm colored that's not Afrikaans speaking. So this is a colored girl's tale. I'm not white and neither am I black, even though my taste of men was always darker than my fair skin. My eyes are brown and my hair curly but not straight. Pushed between the two races, my face was the one that they created. My nose is too round and my ears are too pointy. The language I'm supposed to understand sounds so foreign to me, so I give off this blank look when Afrikaans is thrown at me, leaving them trying to add up the matters to how, what, and why. I'm just your untypical colored chick, and a swear word is the furthest thing in my dictionary, and straightening my hair seems to have gotten lost somewhere in history. I'm not a Masakan chick. I'm more like a Sawona, Bunjani kind of chick. I'm not a colored girl on the edge. I'm more like the quiet one in the corner with my nose in a book, hoping to go unseen, in case you might make that mistake and put me on your stereotypical plate. It's worse when they see me with my kids. That look of confusion tied up in all those unanswered questions, and just to show them I can hear their very thoughts, I always give them that smile, like you'll be okay. See, I don't even understand what I am, but I've learned to embrace my pup and tribe eating, big thighs, brown eyes, bushy hair, round nose, Zulu understanding of Afrikaans rejecting self. And I love how my story has people puzzling for days. I've been called Mlungu, bushy, and koi. But I'm neither one of these things. I'm a mixed race beauty. My ancestors got killed for looking like me. From village to village they came. On horses they rode, trying to get rid of what they called a crime. Some are born the right color with the right hair strand, got to pass the pencil test. And a bonus was that they embraced the language that was forced upon them. But here I am, not fitting in but very proud to stand out. They say we have no culture, and I have never found it offensive because unlike society, I could go ahead and create my own. They say we walk around we walk around with stockings in our heads, have babies as teenagers from 3 or 4 baby daddies, drink Black Label, fight with beer bottles and okapis, never finish high school or go to university. Can you just stop putting us in all colored girls will hit you with pots and pans box? I love hearing you talk about me in the taxi, or saying umuhle, with hope of me not understanding, but what I cherish more is that look on your face after I reply, with that one question always asked. Uma, where exactly do you come from? I could go on to tell you how I come from the small farming town in Zululand and how I stole sugarcane as a kid. How I ran around with no shoes, my skin burned from this harsh African sun, and had this brown dog follow me at all times without a leash. Nipumesho, and I am not your typical colored chick.
Thank you very much.